hyping another so-called bombshell Russian connection story, this time about Jared Kushner. Here's the headline. Russian ambassador told Moscow that Kushner wanted secret channel with the Kremlin. But if that's really a crime, why did so many past administrations also do it? Here to break down some of those examples is presidential historian Doug Wead. Doug, thanks for joining us this morning. I find that looking back at history is often a very good tonic to understanding our current times. And you've got some examples of presidents past, starting even with Teddy Roosevelt, that used back channels to get things done.
That's right, Pete. I mean, private channels, back channels are as old as diplomacy itself. The XYZ affair was our first crisis as a nation. And Teddy Roosevelt used his own daughter. She was bigger than Kim Kardashian. All the newspapers were following her. She was a real hoot. But we only recently learned she was on a secret mission on that trip to the Pacific Rim, carrying messages to the Japanese government. Eventually, Teddy Roosevelt won the Nobel Peace Prize, ending the Russo-Japanese War. So This is very common all through history.
Wow, yeah, a great example. Another one, and so that's a daughter, but you also have a sibling in JFK and RFK.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's how we eventually ended the Cuban Missile Crisis through Kennedy's brother. And also, Richard Nixon used a back channel to end the war in Vietnam. George H.W. Bush used a back channel to end the Cold War through the Vatican and to Poland. So it's very common.
And Doug, you're not the only one pointing this out. ABC's own Jonathan Karl tweeted this, I believe, yesterday or recently. He said, "We've had back channel communications between Russians and a presidential relative before. In fact, as you said, quite successfully, the Drobrynin RFK channel." There's even more recent example of this, Doug. President Barack Obama is believed to have used some back channels as well.
Yes, in the deal with Iran. Now, back channeling sometimes, like the Iran-Contra affair, can be controversial, and that's what Iran was. And Hillary Clinton, who was involved in the Iran deal, where they packaged up money, sent it in the middle of the night, shrink-wrapped dollars like it was a drug deal, so it couldn't be undone when the public later found out. And that's the story of Skolkovo University. This is big, Pete, and I write about it in Game of Thorns. The Clintons Foundation received $2 million from Skolkovo University. In return, Hillary helped make Skolkovo the Silicon Valley of Russia, and that may have come back to bite her because now they complain that the Russians hacked into the DNC. So there you go.
Well, Doug, so what you're basically saying here is, as far as it pertains to back channeling, what matters is what you're doing and the conduct of it, not necessarily using that tactic. If Jared Kushner is trying to get the Russians involved, linked up with Mike Flynn to talk about strategy in Syria, that's a pretty legitimate reason to back channel.
Absolutely. In fact, it's for our safety. It's necessary. It's to avoid misunderstandings and problems. And you can trust a family member. Secretary of State can be changed. A diplomat may not make it to the last stop on the station, but a member of the family is going to be there.
Doug Wead, thank you very much for the historical perspective.
Thanks, Pete.
Appreciate it.